Hey guys, 412 Sports Cards here today, back with another video. And for today's video, I'm going to be making a tier list of the top 5 picks from the last 4 years' draft. So that's going to be 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm going to make tier lists of all the top 5 draft picks, cards, their collectability and investability, with the hopes of shedding some light on how you should be thinking about investing in the 2020 draft, in particular the top 5 picks. So here are the cards that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at these specific cards, but just these specific players. And we're going to go through the factors at play, which are basically just the current value of the player, the market size, and which plays a role into the future upside that I see for these cards. So without further ado, let's get it started. We'll look first here at Ben Simmons. I think that Ben Simmons is probably, I would honestly say, in the A category. I mean, especially with all the moves that have been made in Philadelphia, I think there's a lot more hope than there has been in the past. I mean, he's an all-NBA defender, and even though he can't shoot very well, he's an excellent facilitator, and I think that brings a lot of value to the team. Plus, I mean, clearly they believe in him over there. He's on a max deal, I believe, so that's a pretty big deal. Next up, Brandon Ingram. I mean, he's fine. I personally am not that high on Brandon Ingram. I don't know, I could be biased. I feel like the man had one good year and then got a max deal in the offseason and everyone loved him all of a sudden. And I don't really see what's up. I mean, I get he's a good scorer, right? And he can create for himself a lot. But I don't know, the Pelicans are kind of a sketchy situation. I mean, I think Zion is the longest tenured player on the team, and that's absurd. Jalen Brown, I hate to do this, but like, I might have to hand him a C tier. I don't know, maybe I'll give him B. I mean, he's good, but the Celtics are crowded with good players, right? If you think about it. So, I mean, even when you're looking at someone like Jalen Brown, who is a superb player, I mean, he's not a superstar, but he's on the brink. He's probably second fiddle to Tatum, but he's quite good. And it's such a crowded team with so many very good players that he can't really stand out. Plus, he's more of a soft-spoken guy on the team. Okay, this is about as easy as it gets. Dragan Bender. Lowest tier, D tier. Man's out of the NBA. And that says it all right there. It's absolute failure. Chris Dunn, I mean, he is not as bad as Dragan Bender, still in the league. He just got signed by somebody. I forget who. But Chris Dunn is about as low as it gets too. I don't know. Especially when guys get this old, they've been drafted this many years ago. If you haven't proven it yet, you've kind of lost your chance to prove it, especially from a hobby standpoint, and you're basically just crushed. So this is the 16 class. These are the top 5 picks, and these last 2 are pretty bad from hobby collectability, so keep that in mind. Markelle Fultz, I'll give Fultz a C. I think he's the best true C I've found. This is the number 1 overall pick. I mean, I'll give him the C tier. People are still kind of high on Markelle Fultz just because he was a number 1 overall pick. But, I mean, his shooting was atrocious and so bad. I don't know. People just want to believe in him because he was a number 1 pick. But I don't know. I think he's lost his chance. Lonzo Ball, I'm going to throw in the C tier too. I mean, he's definitely a solid player. I mean, he's a better player than Markelle Fultz. I mean, I just feel like Markelle Fultz has more room to go up. Like, if he starts showing up, people are going to be like, yay, finally, number 1 overall pick, exploding. But Lonzo Ball, I mean, he's just not that exciting anymore from a hobby standpoint, kind of lost the hobby energy. But he's a decent player. I mean, definitely a better player than Markelle Fultz, in my opinion. Tatum, yeah, Tatum's S tier. I mean, honestly, should Ben Simmons be S tier? I don't know. Just doesn't do it, doesn't check all the boxes. Tatum's the star of the team. I get that it's a little crowded, but great offense, pretty decent defense, definitely shown a lot of upside. He was good to begin with, got even better this year. Superstar trajectory, big believer. Josh Jackson, As much as I hate to say it about a Grizzly of this year, I'm going to have to give him D tier. He's jumped around from a lot of teams, usually not a very good sign, especially for hobby collectability. And I think he's just kind of past his chance to prove it. De'Aaron Fox is an interesting case. The Sacramento Kings are pretty bad, but he's been good. Tough. I guess I have to throw him into this B tier range. Now, after 2 draft classes, you could say maybe I'm being a little hard, but I think there's a clear separation where you get these S and A tier players who are very, very good, and they separate from the pack. And I mean, this is what you see with any NBA draft. You have a lot of mediocre players. Now, those 2 drafts, I mean, these next 2 drafts I think are absurd, but DeAndre Ayton, I don't know whether to go with B or A. I mean, A has Ben Simmons in it. I don't know. I guess I got to call Ayton a B just because he plays a center. I don't know if I can put him up that high, but man put up monster numbers last year and is on a good team. Bagley's an interesting play. It's a really high risk, high reward type of play right now because he's had so many injuries. I mean, I feel like if he came out and showed some promises, some signs of what he was capable of, he could boom, kind of like Markelle Fultz. Like, there are people hoping he'll boom. We'll give him C tier, but he could nudge into the B tier range. Okay, now this is the no-brainer of the list. Hobby darling. I mean, about as sure as it gets for a young player to invest in. S tier, no explanation needed on Luka. Jaren, I'm biased. I'll call him B. I don't know. C might be fair. His rebounding is very bad, but his ability to stretch the floor as stretch 4 player with shot blocking capabilities, even though he can't rebound that well, he's a good defender. Just a very well-rounded player on any squad. He has so much upside because of that shooting. We'll toss him in here just because he's definitely has a lot of chances to prove it. I don't know. I'll give it to him. Trae Young, yeah, I mean, S. Offensive juggernaut on a team that's just acquired so many pieces. He's good with assists. He's good at dishing the ball, and he's got a lot of guys now he can dish the ball to. Who all they get? Bogdanovich they got, and I don't remember who else. But, yeah. Zion, this might be a controversial pick. I don't know. I'm going to put Zion in A tier just because the injuries scare me. I think he has tremendous upside, as high as anybody on this board, but I always worry about injuries with him, plus his fitness level. John Moran, I'm just trying to speed this up. Sorry if I'm going a little faster. I'm just trying to keep it around 10 minutes. John Moran, we'll give him A tier. I don't know. I'm a Grizzlies fan, but the lack of three-point shooting just worries me. He's definitely dynamic. I think Russell Westbrook comps are fair. I mean, Westbrook won an MVP. So, I mean, that definitely speaks for something. But, I'm a little worried about him. RJ Barrett, eek. I hate to do it, but he's definitely not on the caliber of any of these guys in B tier, so we'll put him in C tier. I mean, he just had an atrocious season, and he's playing in a terribly managed situation. So, yeah. I mean, okay, this is where it's going to start to get screwed up, so I'm going to end up putting DeAndre Hunter and Darius Garland into the D tier. Basically, because they're so new, they can't fall, the C tier. Basically, they're so new, they can't fall into the D tier. But that's where I'm at this. I don't really have a lot of belief in any of them at all, but they are newer prospects with that potential to boom. And I think that's what separates the C tier from the D tier, is the C tier people have to be either decent players overall, or they could be not below decent, but have still so much hobby thinking about them that they have the potential to boom. So what is this going to show you guys about the 2020 draft class? It shows you that the top 5 picks, we got 2 from 2018, 1 from 2017, none from 19, and none from 16 that I gave S tier. That's 3 of the 20 picks I gave S tier. even the number one picks aren't surefire bets. None of those ones in the S tier were the number one picks. The number one picks, I got an A tier, a B, and a C. So, I mean, even betting on the number one overall pick isn't necessarily safe. You got to hedge your bets. I mean, maybe if you're going to do some strategic research, go for it, but don't just invest in the top picks, because the top picks demand high prices and often don't pan out. If you've been dumping money into Dragan Bender or Markelle Fultz, I mean, you would have been decimated. So with that in mind, just be careful as you approach the season. There are guys outside of the top 5 who can make high tiers. Think like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander recently. But yeah, I hope this tier list was enjoyable. Let me know if you liked it. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.